The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft host. Once more till we go into the breach, dear friends. And as always, of course, we like to meet at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So what do we have? Market's a little higher today. Trying to get up to 2,400. 2372, up 8 points. Volume is very light, 1.84 billion shares compared to Thursday and Friday. We're anywhere from, 350 to 600 million shares short. So we're maybe we've already gotten into this time. We're waiting for Apple's earnings after the bell tomorrow night. We're waiting for the Fed on Wednesday at 2. A lot of hurry up and wait this week. We'll have to see how things come along. But market is in a very fragile state. We'll talk about why. And does that mean it's going lower? Maybe not, but not going a lot higher, and has the possibility of going a lot lower. We'll talk about why. We'll talk about many things, but kind of quiet now. Had a few earnings before the bell. Nothing really to yell or scream about. We'll have a few after the bell. And then, of course, tomorrow and tomorrow night, we really get back into the swing of it. But this week, probably going to be the end of market-moving earnings, I think. So we'll have to see how that goes. Anyway, well, it's time to start the show.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
It is history repeating on this day. In 1960, an American U-2 spy plane is shot down while conducting espionage over the Soviet Union. The incident derailed an important summit meeting between President Eisenhower and Mr. Khrushchev that was scheduled for later that month. And, of course, also the day that communists and socialists celebrate. I don't know what they're celebrating. They've tried it 1,000 different ways in 6,000 years of recorded history, and it's never worked. But I guess that's the definition of insanity, trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Anyway, on this day, you really started the kind of a new phase of the Cold War, the leading up to the Bay of Pigs. My dad flew U-2s. He flew them in the nuclear program, where you would fly them through clouds of the at the heights of after the weapons were detonated. His job was to fly absolutely as high as they could, 70,000 feet or so, and open a little can that was tied underneath the wing and get samples of radiation in the can, pull the string back again, and, of course, close the can up. He flew these two-seater variants of the U-2, and there was a scientist in the back of it, and he'd say, see that little finger coming off that giant mushroom cloud? Well, I want you to fly right through that. That was his job. Anyway, very interesting, because when he came back, he was always about as red as you could get, because they get back, of course, take everything off, and then basically scrub him down with Brillo pads, trying to get all the radiation off of him. From the time I can almost remember my first thing and him to the last time when just before he died, always had a little dropper of iodine next to him, and would put a drop or two of iodine in everything. And of course, iodine helps get radiation out of your system. I don't know if he just thought it was a great deal or was still, 20, 30 years later, still thinking that radiation was everywhere. If you got nuked, I'd probably be a little nervous too, but I always thought that was kind of interesting. No matter where he went, no matter where who he visited at the morning, he was always putting a drop or two of iodine in something he drank. And of course, if you're on a Russian sub, they didn't ever have enough shielding on them, and they gave the sailors red wine because it had a lot of iodine in it. So they got their glass of red wine every day. But on this day in 1960, we start to see the Cold War really heat up, and of course going into the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis. But Dwight D. Eisenhower said that it was his biggest blunder was not listening to people who said that eventually they would get missiles that could shoot down a U-2. Pretty good movie, Bridge of Spies, out. Was it last year or the year before? It was last year, maybe right after Christmas. Enjoyed it a lot. It's not too far from history. It's pretty close. There was a lot of stuff made up on the ground, but kind of interesting to see it all. Anyway, on this day in 1960, we will soldier on. One of the more wiser traders in the den once told me that you can't believe anything until it's officially denied. And, of course, it has been officially denied, and that is the breadth data. Right now, 10 of the largest firms in the S&P 500 have accounted for 37% of all the index's return, more than double their 17% market cap weight, according to Goldman's data. Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft alone make it 28% of the return, with this 12% of the overall market value. And, of course, Goldman Sachs came out with a note late on the day and Friday saying it just doesn't matter anymore. It's different this time. They didn't say it's different this time because everybody would have jumped on them. I'm just saying that's exactly what they said. Even though they didn't say it, that's the exact meaning. It's different this time. And, of course, I always love it when everybody tells me it's different this time because guess what? It's not different this time. Everything that's happened in the market before has happened before and will happen again. Did Dad live a full life? After crashing two B-25 and a B-17, because the CIA boy, he always flew around the CIA boys. They were big fans of shoving all the equipment in the back of one of these things, the B-17s and B-25s, and sanding all the serial numbers off of everything and taking all the placards off, including English. So you kind of had to guess where everything was. Nothing was labeled. They would do that, and then they'd weld a steel door right behind the pilots. And they'd load the planes up with all kinds of equipment, and then sometimes lie to them about how much was in there. And, of course, twice they overloaded the planes, and twice this plane's crashed. We'll talk about that when we come back.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And just a question, did my dad live a full life? Well, I'm going to say he led a full life, didn't leave a long life. Like I said, crashed 2 planes that I knew of. Somebody told me that he actually had been in more, because of course a lot of the stuff he was doing was all black and they couldn't talk about it. But did hear about crashing on the runway once, and he crashed a B-25 in just across the border in Russia. And by the time all the Russians showed up, he'd already made it back across the barbed wire. So crashed 2 planes. Had a bunch of other stuff, wild adventures. He showed me the little pin that you kill yourself with, is suicide. It was in a like a silver dollar, and you could pull the pin out of one side of the silver dollar. It was concealed in it. But anyway, got shot at, landed several blown up planes in Vietnam, and guess what? Choked on a hot dog, and that was it. So I don't know, kind of ignominious end. I always thought that there was probably, he wanted to go out a little bit better than that, but I don't know. I never liked hot dogs to begin with, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But yeah, I think he had a full life. Let's go through some other stuff. Yeah, he was kind of he was over there in 48. Somebody's saying about the candy bombers. He was flying planes over there too. Well, what else can you say? Tesla Motors. I was going to say there's some fairly decent signals going on in Tesla. That is that we are going through new highs. The last time we gapped up on Tesla was almost 14 million shares. Today, we're up with about 6.5 million shares. But to me, that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is that we now have a stock that's, where people were shorting the daylights out of it for a while. Had some fairly good setups. I tried it once. Got out before the bottom fell out, but still got a little pullback. But what we had was a ton of people with monster shorts. And, of course, I'm showing you these bars, and these little red points on here are actually the short volume for those days. So you continue to see a lot of people short. Now, what has happened is pretty much since the 21st, people have quit shorting the stock. We're going up today, but it's normally had a somewhere around a, what can you say, about a 25, 27% daily average of people shorting it somewhat during the day. That has come down to about 18 to 15 for the last 4 or 5 days. That tells me that the shorts have given up in the stock. This may be the last big push for Tesla. Again, there have been other stocks like it. I say in the den every once in a while that this is the I-Omega of 2017, and a lot of people weren't around for the I-Omegans of 1996. But I-Omega made a removable hard drive, and everybody was just dying for any kind of huge storage in the mid-90s. You know, that you could get 20 megabytes or 50 megabytes or 100 megabytes on a cartridge. People were just nuts about it. And basically, the price got to about the next 22 years of earnings if it would have continued to earn and grow as it was. And, of course, a new technology came out and wiped it out, and it took a lot of money to money heaven. Tesla looks very close to it, a good car company, but very vulnerable in that it is in a part of technology that could easily see some new product come out that is much better than batteries. And, of course, maybe they sell it, maybe they don't. A lot of other car companies, of course, in business also. Huge amounts of manufacturing money has to go into building plants, all the rest of it. And so why they were able to start off fairly easily with a old abandoned Toyota plant, now they're having to build real plants and throw huge money at it. The questionable margins that they talk about 20 to 25% on their cars, is dubious at best. What we do know is even the best car companies seem to end up somewhere south of 10% on their margin. So if we go into anywhere in the next 5 years where the margins drop down to $10, this stock somewhere between 40 and 50 bucks. And that's always been my problem with it. Unfortunately, just like I-Omega or Beanie Babies or sock puppets, you get into a bubble. And if you get too many people shorting it, they just run them out by buying more of it. The higher price makes them think that it's worth that. And eventually, like Icarus, he gets too close to the sun, the wax melts, and he falls into the sea. Now, does this have to happen to Tesla? It's kind of like going to war where you maybe got 50 guys and the opposition's got 50,000 of them, and all 50,000 instantly drop dead. Maybe you can win. The downside is this is going to be a war. It's not a little battle or a skirmish. Tesla has the first disruptor's position. But I'm thinking of all the different technologies that I've seen come and go in the last, 45 years or so. And almost all of them have not been won by the first company in. It's almost always been the second or the third that has figured out the flaws in the ointment of the previous ones. Anyway, keep an eye on Tesla. I do see, in fact, do I have that up here? I will just read them off because it's a lot easier to hear than see. But TSLA. I'm just going to read through since the 12th of April. 26% on Tesla. That was on the 12th. 28%, 25%, 25%, 27%, 29%, 30%, 23%. Now, last 4 days, 17%, 16%, 17%, 18%. So far today, I've looked at the tape, and most of those shorts are way down. So again, no shorts, no. Severely less shorts, yes. And again, you probably should, with any kind of big short squeeze, be looking at somewhere around that 14 million shares. And 7 million shares today just doesn't seem a lot to me. Maybe the shorts are done driving this stock up. Doesn't mean that it's time to pull the trigger. Just how I go into some movies and I know how the movie's going to end. What I don't know is how long the movie's going to be. Well, I guess I could have looked it up before I went in. But that is the problem. When does the movie end for Tesla? And could it be like iOmega and be driven for years? It could be. Could it fail tomorrow? The answer is yes. We'll look at some stocks, see how they're reacting today. Got a lot of other stuff going on. We'll be back after a minute.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And earnings out this morning is Plantronics. They make headsets, especially for office and phone call folks. Kind of interesting to see this thing all over the place. No real clear signal. It's not a high volume stock, but very interesting action. AWI Armstrong Worldwide, of course, flooring makers, up testing its previous high on earnings today. No real juice in this. And again, I start to see a lot of stocks in that housing, kind of surrounding the housing sector, that kind of look weak to me. Haven't given a signal to pull the trigger short, or that they finally topped out. But I don't see a lot of juice out there. Lowe's, also the other Lowe's Corporation, little juice out here, but again, very kind of muted day for earnings. Diamond Offshore down 2%. Of course, this thing's just been auguring lower and lower. It got to $13.54 today. Already 3 million shares. So my guess is it's going to take, it's going to need to close above $14.67, which is the September 14th low. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to get there or not. It's not horrible, totally bearish, but I don't like any of these things. If it closes below that, I think there's a lot more risk to the downside, especially the way that crude is acting today. And what do we have? $48.74 on oil, still down 57 cents. This thing can't really catch a bid. What else do we? Dish Network, a lot of ads running. See a lot of ads. And what do we have here? Down a little lower. A lot of discussions over and over again about this company getting bought out. Nothing has ever come to fruition. And of course, CAH, which is Cardinal Healthcare, down a little bit. This thing's got a big gap at around 65 to 67, maybe 68, and a double gap at 66. So I suspect that's where this thing's kind of going on. Not a lot of juice, down just a little bit. Now, we've got a few coming out after the bell. Monday morning. Where's my Monday night? Monday morning, Tuesday morning. Yeah. Let's go to Tuesday morning here. I can't find my Monday night ones. So tomorrow morning, we'll go through the stocks coming up. Intrepid Potash. This one's kind of in a big triangle out here. Don't see a lot of anything other than no volume. I heard some people talking about wheat getting a bid today. You always think that eventually the worm will turn and these fertilizer stocks will get back on the stick. This thing was down at $1.24 on March 16th. Kind of got back up here, but just going sideways. It is summertime. A lot of things would be good on it. I don't see anything out here where you could place a new trade. My thought would be that this thing is going to about 210, though, where these previous gaps are out there. Of course, these are all earnings for tomorrow morning. If you wanted to play the marijuana trade, there's only two real ways to do it that I know of legally. One is Scott's Miracle Grow. They have been literally selling a ton of fertilizer, specialized fertilizer, apparently. No real clue on this one. It has kind of come up off the bottom back to 97.50 97.50. Just gone sideways the last 4 days with a lot of dojis, which is always a little bit nervous out here. But once in the 90s, about 80% go to 100. So if you were looking for one that goes up on earnings, I think that one's probably the most likely one that you can find. Railroad stocks have not been acting well. CNX comes out tomorrow morning. This thing's already, not trains, Consol Energy, this has been, this one's testing the March 14th low, $14.75, 2.4 million shares. Quite hasn't gotten there. Got fairly close today. Energy is about the same on the way up and the way down. This is the kind that you could instantly see kind of a big move. There's a nice gap that goes back to June 26th and 27th of 2016. And that's just under $14. This does not look great. anything other than a good earnings call could see this at 1375 fairly quickly. 1-800-Flowers, FLWS, at 1539 right now. Is that right? FW, did I type it wrong? 1-800-Flowers. Oh, it is right. I'm going nuts. $10.97 for the last price. Got up to 1105. This thing's got a lot of resistance right at 1140. You got Mother's Day. You got a bunch of other stuff going on. I just don't see a lot in this thing. Looks like on a longer term, a big trading range from about $8 to 11. Maybe something changed. I didn't see anything. In fact, I think probably I see less flowers now than I have in the past. CMI. Another one for the morning. Cummins Engines. Man, how many of these stocks are just going sideways and no volume? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days here on CMI. So not going to give you a clue, looks like, at least until tomorrow morning. You have two gaps below it, this real big gap. Actually had some decent juice, 1.5 million shares. Today, 1.2 million shares. Very tough. Speaking more about agriculture, ADM, Supermarket to the World. See what they're doing before the earnings tomorrow. Now, this one's a nice triangle pattern out here. If this thing did move fairly strongly one way or the other, you probably could come in a day or two and take the opposite side of that trade, because that does look very good, like a bigger triangle. ConocoPhillips had a nice day. Again, our energies just keeps selling off here. Doesn't seem like it getting a bid. Now, ConocoPhillips, pretty light volume today. Back on the 31st of March, this thing gapped up with 13.4 million shares. It's kind of come back. Today, just 3.3 million shares so far. So you are right on that gap at support levels. But, man, crude keeps, and the whole energy sector just keeps looking like it's selling off, which doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy about trying to put a position in before earnings on that one. Altria Group, although it is one of the few stocks that's at a fairly decent support level. The other one is the SIN stock, the smokers out there in Altria Group. MO is the symbol on this one. $70.78 on April 3rd. We're just 12 cents above that today, but half the volume. Energy's about the same on the way up or down, so I don't see a lot out here going into tomorrow morning to give us a good read. We'll look at a handful of these others, but kind of a murderer's row tomorrow morning. We'll be back.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile based scanner in the industry. Powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
And, is it 240 here? We just cracked 2 billion shares on the NYSE consolidated tape, which puts us about 600 million shares, or maybe 25%, more than 25%, lighter volume than the same time on Friday. So, man, if we've gone up here on 8 points, it's been on vapor for volume. There isn't a lot of push, not a lot of sellers, a handful of buyers, and that's been enough to move this market higher. But one thing you do not like to see is all the volume drop out at the top of either a stock or a market. And that's what we've got. This thing has come up and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed, again, with almost, extremely light shorts. And that's always a recipe for one thing. Can you go higher? A little higher. If you drop lower, you better find buyers down there quickly, or it can accelerate and get out of hand in a hurry. That would make me fairly nervous for trying to put on any new positions in this market. So we continue to keep an eye on it. I've got some longer-term trades, and I've moved the stops up in those. I think it's kind of time. I'm more than willing to let whatever I have in profits get pulled back in and sold to, rather than ride these back down. And that's this thing. It's 1st of May. Is this summertime trading already? Is this just waiting for Apple and the Fed on Wednesday? It just seems like we've had a lot of volume only when we've been able to move some shorts out of the way. Now that the shorts have decided to capitulate and everybody's absolutely sure that the market's going to do nothing but go higher, is always when I get as nervous as I get. Anyway, we're talking about Althea Group. Now, this one, ascend stock in a declining market tends to get some fairly good buying. This one from April 3rd, 7.5 million shares, got half that today. So no signal out here to buy this thing. But if we do have a declining market and you have some kind of theory that you can only go long, you might want to look at MO. Others coming to an earnings report near you tomorrow morning is Coach. This thing seems to be rather active on earnings. And again, just kind of in this sideways action that you've had since the 4th. And I don't know what else you can say about it, 4th of April, by the way. This thing has just gone sideways. Tried to peak down this morning, 38.47, back into this trading range that started on that on the 4th of April. don't see a lot. You did have kind of a big push that kind of gave up, and now this thing's kind of got a right shoulder going on out here. And this one's so hit and miss, other than the fact that I've heard so much about retail and a lot of these accoutrements, especially that women buy, have been kind of soft, like handbags and all the leather goods that Coach makes. Would make me fairly nervous on this one. I don't see anything in the stock, but the fundamentals for retail continue to be rather weak, and haven't heard much about that. Normally, you get the earnings from a couple others and give you a little viewpoint on it, but I haven't seen those yet. LL, was it LL Lumber? Can't even say it. Lumber Liquidators. This one thing, man, you had to say this thing was 9/10 dead, and it did come back from the lows back here around $10. Now it is, though, into this huge gap down where a lot of this trouble started with 15.4 million shares back on May 21st, 2015. So we are close to 2 years into this. Now you got about 1 million shares out here. And again, a lot of these stocks, the ones I'm seeing around housing, are some of the weakest. Don't know how many people have gotten out of the way or the short interest in this run right now. I'm not very big on shorting stocks in this price range, but man, you got to talk about a weak stock in that sector. You got to kind of take a look at it. BP also in the morning. Back to our energy. Again, just a lot of higher lows and lower highs, and no action in the last 4 or 5 days going into earnings. My guess is that there isn't a lot that's changed out here, and unless you have a real big surprise, $32.50 seems to be where this thing wants to go. Shopify, another one. This one's kind of a newer one. 77.57 is the last price on this one. Now, these are the ones that are very dangerous up here. They've done nothing but go up. A close below the 3x3 on this one, and I would be pulling the trigger on Shopify out here, thinking that this thing had gone south. So keep an eye on this one, but probably coming back eventually to this $45, $50 range where it took off. It's done nothing but go higher. But again, retail, what can you say? Now, it may be e-retail, but this thing still looks like it kind of went up on a lot of lighter volume. So just seems maybe fairly close to fully valued. MasterCard, we've seen this one up. It's done a good run since back. It's been above the line since, February 7th without a major retest. And again, any of these closes below, above, and back below again start setting up double repo patterns. I'll be scanning for those. We'll be talking about them in the next few shows out here. But we're starting to get several of them, and that normally is a good indication that a market is topping. PFE. What do we got out here? Again, Pfizer. Man, we're talking about a flat market out here. This thing has been going sideways since the 24th of March. Almost nothing and nothing in this one. Any close below the 3x3 out here would have me short this one. And there's not enough gravy in it for me. But my guess is there's a gap down here at $30.50. I like that the IBB finally hit 300 today, which was kind of where I was looking at. I wanted to see how this thing came into the $300 level. What you've seen is from the 25th, 1.14 million shares. The next day we had 841,000 shares, 671,000 shares, 569,000 shares. Today, 440,000 shares. Now, maybe volume starts coming back into these, but these are some stocks out here in April, at the 1st of April, that should be having some real juice. You know, mid-May, is when volume should really be coming out. And this isn't it. We're coming back up on very, very light volume on some of these things, like the IBB. So no signal yet to pull the trigger on this one. And I'm not short any of the indexes. But I do think that you could see some pretty fast action out here if any kind of hint of lower prices is coming. We'll be back to wrap up the show in the last segment.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge Heard Daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we're up 7 points on the S&P cash, 2391. Still don't, 2.1 billion shares, so volume has continued to be extremely light. So we can come back up here. I have some emails from John in Sebring. Didn't know we had a listener in Sebring, asking whether or not you could pull the trigger on the SMHs out here. As I've said before, you've got a fairly good indication on either the 9-day simple moving average, or what I like better for this one is the displaced moving average. Any close below those right now would be the signal to pull the trigger on the semiconductors. About as good as you can get in that one. If it was a little bit more ballistic, it would be a cleaner signal. A lot of times you don't get one that's just perfect. Sometimes you do, but most of the time they're a little dirty for the pattern. This one, what you really want to see is just close below the 9-day moving average or the 3x3 displaced moving average. So any close below $80.50 tomorrow, $80.22 the day after that, and $80.34. So this thing hits $79.99. You could pull the ripcord. You're probably going to get a fairly quick move back down here to fill this gap from the 4th. This gapped up on no juice. What was the volume on that day? 2.2 million shares. So, you had your big volume down days before with almost 8 million shares on the 12th of April and 7 million shares on the 11th. So we're up here not doing too much. We've broken above previous highs. We haven't had a sign of strength. There are a lot of things out here that say that it's about time to pull the trigger. What we haven't had is the final signal out there to pull the ripcord, and that would be a close below this one. So I've seen, let's take a quick look at Skyworks Solution, SWKS, who had earnings, and they're trying to hold this thing up, but it closed below it. I'm starting to see a few more out here that are basically starting to show some weakness. Of course, it came down on fairly decent volume. It's back under $100. Are the wheels going to instantly fall off this thing? The answer is no. But what they do tell me is it's much more likely now that we come back to $84 on Skyworks Solutions than continue back higher. And that would just be coming back to this double gap. Let's go out here. That has remained unfilled, and even a bigger gap, which is going to be a fairly decent sign of strength. Back on January 20th, you had 15.8 million shares that day. And, you're probably looking at that maybe 85 to 82.50 range out there is where you would want to rebuy this thing if it comes back with light volume. But $105 to 85, 84, 83 looks like it certainly could happen. And you really just need to start seeing some lower closes in the SMHs to give you an overall signal. And we're only, a quarter, 50 cents away on those. So a lot is going to be, could we see a little reversal here today and actually get them back underneath it? We've got no juice to the upside, no volume, no shorts. So even if they pop this market a little bit tomorrow, what are you going to get? Well, you're not going to get a lot of shorts bailing out. There just aren't enough of them. So that's kind of it. I see, could we go higher? Yes. Am I afraid of significantly higher prices? No. Could we hit a big air pocket on some kind of surprise? The answer is yes. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to, and we will see you here. Same bat channel, 14 on Tiger TV, same bat time.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.